Shalom, I'm Noam Semel, the Israeli Consul for Cultural Affairs. Our cultural magazine will include today an interview with Shlomo Mintz, the Israeli violinist, conductor, and the music advisor of the Israel Chamber Orchestra. We'll meet the director of the America-Israel Cultural Foundation, and we'll discuss about a new exhibition in New York with an Israeli artist and an Israeli photographer. And we'll end with a wonderful story, but we'll keep it to the end. But we'll begin with the first guest that came to this studio a year ago, Shlomo Mintz. Shalom, Shlomo.
Shalom.
You know, a year ago, this Israel Cultural Line magazine, and you were here, the first guest, before you went to Russia. But we began our program that time with a report from CBS about you. So I'll show it to you, and then we'll speak about the year.
Wonderful.
CBS report about Shlomo Mintz, that at the age of 32 established himself as one of the foremost violinists in our time.
Second call, last call, on stage, please. Tchaikovsky, on stage.
Morgan. In my life, to play Tchaikovsky is almost a very, very, very natural thing. All those melodies and all those things that the ups and downs and the turns that the concerto brings are very much a part of my blood.
The intricate maneuvers of the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, familiar to all music lovers, sound new and vital and thrilling when played by Russian-born Shlomo Mintz.
I was given a violin literally when I was 2 months old. At first I plucked at it and I don't know, just looked at it.
And eventually, when he was 3.5 years old and living in Israel, he began to play it.
It was like a part of my breakfast. Playing the violin, it was an entirely natural thing for me.
Entirely natural, and the answer to his father's dreams.
But his biggest anxiety, or shall we say goal in life, was really to play the violin. And he was never able to because of his very unusual life. He was in Siberia for 18 years, a prisoner for being a Jew. And so he decided that if he's going to have a son, he's going to play the violin, and that's the reason why I had an instrument at the age of 2 months. I mean, you do not have many people who buy instruments for their kids at the age of 2 months.
When the family was settled in Israel, Shlomo's father put him on a strict regimen, up at 5 so that he could practice before going to school. That discipline and dedication, coupled with an enormous talent, have made Shlomo Mintz, at 30, one of the world's leading violinists.
Shlomo, a year ago you told me here in this studio that you are going to Russia, to Moscow, to be the first Israeli judge in the Tchaikovsky competition. What had happened?
Well, Moscow has been very, very interesting to say the least. This is, by the way, the first time I've been asked to judge a very important, perhaps the most important violin competition for us violinists. I've seen some wonderful talents, I've seen some very interesting talents, and I've seen some real manipulation among judges.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say so up openly. My personal view of competitions is that art really should not be judged and measured by numerical numbers.
I see.
However, since mathematically we always have to be arriving at number one, number two, number three, that's the reason for competitions, and also the reason for the world to expose the new talent that is available. Overall, it's been an extremely interesting, in a way, a political sort of gesture on both sides, only because there has been a great exposure on Soviet TV
About your visit?
about the fact, right?
Yeah.
And as I recall, many Israeli artists previously, like Daniel Barenboim, etc., had a lot of problems of having the flags of the country put up in front of them when they were conducting. This time, they knew that particular angle ahead of time. The flags were all there. Nobody needed to say anything or to overexpose himself unnecessarily. And some of the contacts that have been made in Russia are most interesting culturally. I hope that one can maintain the cultural ties between both countries, because I feel basically that the best way and means for conversation is in a dialogue, and what better dialogue could be done than music. But as you well know, it's all politically decided, and we're not really involved in that.
But let's go back to Moscow, because you left Moscow when you were 2 years old, right? And you immigrated with your family to Israel.
Yes.
And for you it was the first visit to Moscow since you left Russia.
Yes,
What
correct.
was your feeling coming
Well,
to...
very strong emotionally, because I have half a sister as well that I've never seen in my 32 years of living.
I see.
And that was the first time that I've met her there.
Oh, that visit.
That visit. And so it's been personally very emotional, as well as, I had a very strong Russian cultural background. My mother was 22 years Russian literature teacher, and I speak Russian fluently. So it has been very, very deep, it has been giving me a very deep sense. But I have not played in Russia.
Not
really,
yet.
except the traditional concert that has been done in the town of Klin, outside of Moscow. There is a very famous, very big Tchaikovsky house. It was Tchaikovsky's summer house, where he's been doing some of his work there, etc. It's a museum today, and traditionally, judges always play for the participants rather than the participants for the judges, because the competition takes a few weeks. So that has been very, very interesting. Just being there, meeting the people, seeing how do they arrive in their life conclusions, in their cultural affairs, in their level of existence, in their creation, vis-a-vis ours, not only Israel's, but the wide world. It's been a very interesting trip.
I see. What about your sister? Is she still staying there in Moscow?
My sister is still there, yes.
What is she doing
She
there?
has her own life. She lives there. She has a fairly large family.
I see.
And I'm hoping that with the new changes, we'll see each other more often.
Yeah, maybe she will come to visit you in Israel. And
Perhaps.
Perhaps your orchestra will go to Russia. I speak about the Israel Chamber Orchestra that you are.
We are planning to go to Russia at some point. I think that the level of communication has to be right. I do not want to blame things on anybody, but it seems to me that all people have to, a good deal, cultural deal for us, is the right type of exposure with the right type of attitude. And we're looking forward to get that particular attitude from the Russians.
I see. Let's go back to your first steps in Israel. 2 years old, a child coming with his parents from Moscow and with a violin. I understand from the interview that you began to play the violin when you were 2 months old. Is it right?
No, my father bought a violin. My father bought me a violin when I was 2 months old.
Ah,
Yes.
he bought you a violin. But when you came to Israel, how somebody is studying to play the violin in Israel, a country without a background, that time when you came to Israel? What happened to you as a child?
Well, basically, there has been, the country has been mixed from a cultural point of view in a very intensive way at that time. Most musical agendas were somehow controlled by musicians of Hungarian descent rather than the Russian descent that is dominating today. Pupils and associates of Bela Bartok, my teacher, for example, Ilona Fair, has been directly and indirectly involved with Bela Bartok in the Budapest Academy, a very fine,
So
one of the finest musicians
you
of the
studied
20th
with her
century.
from the beginning?
I have studied with her not from the very beginning, but from the age of 6. And she's been, as you well know, responsible for the education of Pinka Zuckerman, Shmuel Ashkenazi, and a very, very long generation of very fine violinists.
When was it the first time that you performed with the Israel Philharmonic?
At the age of 11.
11?
11, yes, as a youngster. And then later on replacing my dear colleague Itzhak Perlman.
Do you remember
at the
what
age
you
of
played with
13.
the Israel Philharmonic when you were 11 years old? Do you remember?
Yes, it was the Mendelssohn Concerto, which we've just heard, I believe.
I see. We just spoke about your teacher, Ilona Faher,
Yes.
and we have a clip about your studying with her, and I would like to show the clip and we'll continue on. Okay?
Wonderful.
Shlomo Mintz in Israel with his wonderful teacher, Ilona Faher.
The Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra, the Dvorak's Violin Concerto, soloist Shlomo Mintz. When he was 6, Mintz was taken to meet Ilona. With her musical sixth sense, she immediately noticed his talent. But although Mintz had the characteristics of a child prodigy, he didn't have an easy life with her.
Shlomo, many musicians came to Israel during the time of the Persian Gulf War, but you lived in Israel during this period with your musicians, with your friends, with your family, with your orchestra. What happened to you?
Well, I must say it has been a very emotional experience for me, more than anything else, more than being scratched by a missile or two. I felt that one needs to be there and not necessarily make a great publicity of it, but just being there with the musicians and comforting them, helping them, giving them some advice if one can, trying to help them to overcome that particular period. I'm not a person of war to begin with. I don't think anybody likes war, in principle. I'm also not involved politically in any fashion or any aspect of the conflict, and I'm rather proud of it. I do, though, understand when people suffer. And as far as my own group is concerned, I know they have been shattered greatly, only because a few days before the Gulf War has started, we've had great success in Paris and in Europe. And
With the orchestra?
With the orchestra. And we have literally established our name and our reputation during those concerts. To go it's in such an emotional wheel from one tremendous success, flying, taking
To
it
the sealed room.
to a sealed room with a gas mask. It's a terrible shock to them. I also feel that when one is with them, then one encourages the spirit of creation in that country. And I think that that particular issue is more important than actually playing the concerts, because you give them a psychological reason to be and to live and to communicate. And that is basically what we're all about.
I see. I understand that since that time you left Israel to tour around the world with your orchestra to Europe and
Yes.
South America.
We are coming to the United States in April '92.
To perform here?
To perform for the first time, actually under my direction, I should say. The orchestra has been in existence for 25 years. We're very much looking forward to generous contribution, if I may add.
Okay.
If I may use the channels here
Okay.
to do that. But we're also touring worldwide. We'll go to the Far East. We are going to Europe. We are currently signing a new record contract. And when time is right, we'll tell you all about it. We'll be
Okay.
very happy to.
Shlomo, thank you for being in our studio.
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
And we'll end with a clip Shlomo Mintz in concert. Okay? Shlomo Mintz left Moscow when he was 2 years old. But when he left Moscow, he wouldn't be able to see the film of El Al like all the other Russian Jews when they are coming now to Israel. At the moment they are entering to the El Al airplane, they are watching a video about Israel. We'll share with you the experience of the Russian Jews coming to Israel by El Al Israel Airlines.
אחים יקרים העולים למדינת ישראל, ברוך בואכם למטוס אל על, מטוס של חברת התעופה הלאומית של מדינת ישראל, אשר יביא אתכם מארצכם זו למולדתכם, היא ארץ ישראל. אנחנו נשתדל להנעים את טיסתכם בדרככם הביתה. במשך שנים הבאנו מאות אלפי עולים והשתדלנו שטיסתם תהיה רכה ונעימה. נשתדל לעשות כן גם לכם. אנו מאחלים לכם טיסה מהנה ונחיתה רכה במולדתכם החדשה, היא ארץ ישראל.
Шалом. Зовут меня Шимон Мостовой. Разрешите вас поздравить от имени авиакомпании «Эль-Аль», что вы находитесь в самолете, в нашем полете. Я 17 лет тому назад приехал в Израиль. Вначале было первый год-два тяжело, но все постепенно устроилось. И вот сейчас я работаю в авиакомпании, и все хорошо и отлично. Так что вам тоже будет всем хорошо в Израиле.
Три болотам, а там доме родина моя. А там ждут меня родные, а там ждут меня друзья. А там ждут меня мои родные, а там ждут меня друзья.
Шалом, друзья. Ну вот и все. Вы летите к нам домой, в Израиль. Я Натан Щаранский, а это Ханна Щаранская, Цабра. У меня есть еще одна Цабра, Рахель. И они обе такие же красивые, такие же дерзкие, такие же неуемные, такие же упрямые, как наша страна, Израиль. Через 3 часа вы будете у нас. У меня это заняло 12 лет. И как же я счастлив, те 3 года, что я нахожусь здесь, потому что я дома, в нашей прекрасной стране. Друзья, вы скоро будете в аэропорту, начнутся вопросы, начнутся требования, начнутся разбирательства, кто куда хочет. Помните, вы такие же теперь свободные люди, как и любой из нас, со всеми правами. Пусть ваши страхи оставят вас позади. А если будут трудности в первые недели, месяцы, помните, это ничего по сравнению с тем, что вы теперь получаете. Чувство жизни у себя дома. Но все-таки будут трудности, так как мы с вами. Мы теперь все вместе, все одна семья. Мы счастливы, что вы едете к нам. Шалом.
Меня зовут. Я приехала в Израиль 2,5 года назад. И сразу с первой минуты я почувствовала себя дома. Мне не было очень трудно, потому что я не ожидала здесь райских кущ. Я просто почувствовала себя дома. И желаю вам этого же. Для того, чтобы ваша абсорбция была полной, я желаю вам заботиться не только о мебели и комнатах, которые обязательно у вас будут, но также о духовной абсорбции, о вашей связи с нашей страной, с ее культурой. Поэтому я поставила себе целью жизни создать в Маханаим духовный центр для улюм из России. Мы ждем вам там. Добро пожаловать. Мы вас ждем. Всего хорошего. До свидания.
Я приехал из Москвы в конце 1973 года, работаю в Иерусалимском симфоническом оркестре. Вместе с многими олим из Советского Союза, у нас здесь почти треть оркестра, и вообще музыканты со всего мира. Я хочу вам рассказать маленькую историю. Когда я приехал в Израиль и пытался поступить в оркестр, у меня не было ни скрипки, ни места для жилья в Иерусалиме. И один из скрипачей оркестра, Изя Гярас, дал мне свой инструмент, поселил у себя. Я поступил в оркестр, жил у него. И потом, когда съезжал с его квартиры, спросил, ну, чем я могу тебе отплатить? Он мне говорит, ты примешь у себя следующего, так же, как я сделал это для тебя. Так оно и было. Я желаю каждому из вас найти такого Изю для себя и стать таким Изи для кого-нибудь другого. Добро пожаловать в Иерусалим и до скорой встречи.
Our next guest is Benny Galed, the executive director of America-Israel Cultural Foundation, one of the main organizations that support the Russian Jews, but mainly support the Russian Jewish musicians. Shalom, Benny.
Shalom.
In what matter do you support the Russian Jewish musicians that came to Israel?
We try to support them in more than one way. The main channel of support is with, indeed, artists and mainly musicians, professional musicians who come in. It's well known that thousands of immigrants are labeled as artists. Not each and every one of them is indeed a great professional performing artist. Some of them are, some of them are not. The America-Israel Cultural Foundation concentrates in those who are really excellent, the best artists that come in. As Israel cannot offer jobs for everybody, we try to look for those who are able to get jobs in Israel's orchestras or music schools, and there are still open jobs in Israel.
There are still open jobs? You're the first Israeli to say it.
Not a great deal and not that many, but still there are openings and people take part in auditions, and most Israeli musical organizations, orchestras, academies have accepted and are accepting new immigrants. Those are our target, as the Soviet Union does not let them take out their instruments, or at least not the good instruments, and they are confiscated at the exit from the Soviet Union. We find those people who have been auditioned and have got the jobs to support them to acquire appropriate instruments to do their jobs. After being auditioned, after having a contract with the orchestra, with the school, they come to us, present the material, introduce themselves, and we try to give them at least 2/3 of the value of the needed instrument, which naturally varies, because a clarinet is relatively cheap and a violin is very expensive. We try to find appropriate professional instruments, provide at least 2/3 of the value to the immigrant, 1/3 as a grant, and the other third as a long-term loan without any interest, which is paid over 5, 7, or 8 years as being agreed personally with the immigrant.
This is, excuse me for cutting, this is fantastic, but what about the children? There are many, many children from Russia coming, like Shlomo Mintz when he came to Israel, and some others, and they are children, and they cannot allow themselves to get jobs. What do you do with them?
You're right. There are many children coming, but very few Shlomo Mintzes. And that's exactly the right answer. We are looking for those very excellent ones. Normally, the Israeli students are being auditioned once every 2 years for our scholarships, which is a major program in Israel. We provide more than 500 scholarships every year. The new immigrants do not have to wait until next year's audition. We are satisfied with recommendations of 2 professional, responsible, reliable people in Israel who listen to the student, to the boy or to the girl, and if they recommend, we give 1 scholarship for an entire year without the audition, and next year we incorporate the student into our scholarship program. These days, I mean actually yesterday, we started the annual scholarship audition program, and we have indeed a great deal of new immigrants that have arrived during the last year, and some of them even had our scholarships without audition, and now they are Israelis because music needs no language, and they can audition as anybody else and get the scholarship by merit and by excellence.
Yeah, but music needs also marketing. And one of the main complaints of Russian Jewish immigrants that came to Israel is that, okay, I came to Israel, I received a grant or a scholarship or support from the foundation, I have a music instrument, I'm very happy, but I don't have a market where to perform if he is not connected to one of the orchestras or the choirs or the schools. Is it your role, I don't know, is it your target to find for them marketing?
We are concerned with the problem naturally, but as you come from this field yourself, you know that the market problem is not only of new immigrants. It's a common problem shared with all Israeli artists. What we did for the new immigrants, something exceptional, we found through the Canadian organization, the Canada-Israel Cultural Foundation, funds in order to prepare professional audition tapes, videotapes, for some of the most excellent newcomers. We have so far prepared about 11 such videotapes, which they can indeed use for marketing and for promotion all over the world, and they use them indeed.
You know, some of the people are calling your organization, your foundation, America, Israel, America Cultural Foundation, because many of the musicians or the students that are getting the grants are getting them, are going to America or to Canada to study, and they don't come back to Israel. How can you solve this problem?
I cannot. But then again, you say many, I don't think they have ever been counted. The foundation does not provide scholarships to go abroad per se. We do sometimes help very exceptional students. Now, those who become world figures, like Shlomo Mintz, who just now left,
Perlman,
or Yitzhak Perlman, or many, many others.
Daniel Barenboim.
Okay, those are really world figures, and I personally, I don't think it matters really where their base home is. They live in a suitcase, in hotel rooms, in
like one
in
of them
airplanes.
said to me, "Where do you live?" He said, "I'm living in the plane."
That's right. So it doesn't matter. And others who really left and found places elsewhere, I can be sorry, I can regret it, but it's a free world, and I think we cannot handcuff them.
Okay, at least you give them the opportunities.
That's right.
Are you dealing also with the Ethiopian Jews?
Yes, indirectly we do. We cannot naturally incorporate them now into our professional programs because we deal mainly in the Western arts, music, dance, fine art, theater. We have indeed one theater student, one Ethiopian theater student. I just happened to see in the newspaper last week that she's going to come here. I don't know.
A beautiful girl.
A very beautiful girl. We did support an Ethiopian folklore group which was active in the Galilee, and we are looking for opportunities through one other organization that we support in Israel, the Tzlil Am organization. We make many music instruction activities within Ethiopian communities in Israel.
I see. The America Israel Foundation is a very well-known organization in Israel, not only with the Russian Jews. I know some of the activities because I ran the Haifa Theater, and I remember that the foundation gave us money to rebuild the theater space and to acquire new equipment for sound. But tell me, what else are you doing in Israel?
To put it in a nutshell, we have two main activities. One is a scholarship program called after Moshe Sharet, which engages about 1,500 to 1,600 candidates every year, out of which about 400 to 500 get tuition scholarship for studies in Israel. And then we do support organizations and institutions in Israel. I don't think there is any orchestra, dance theater, dance group, theater group, art school, if it's for theater, fine arts, museums, you name them, that is not or has not been in the past a recipient or a beneficiary of the America-Israel Cultural Foundation.
And you raise the money here in America and Canada?
We raise the money here in the United States and spend it in Israel, and both tasks are very tough.
I understand that you are bringing to America a group of musicians to be home in Carnegie Hall. This will be your annual event. What will happen in October?
On October 20th, we have our annual membership renewal gala concert in the Carnegie Hall in New York, and we will feature this time a new, very interesting musical group. It's called the Upper Galilee Soloists. They indeed are active in the Upper Galilee, in Misgav, in Israel. The group has altogether 13 members, out of which 10 are fresh new immigrants who arrived during the last year to Israel.
From Russia?
From Russia. 3 are old-time Israelis, and all of them are very high-level professional soloist musicians.
So they will perform together?
They will perform as an ensemble of 13 members.
In Carnegie Hall?
In the Carnegie, that's
okay.
Right.
I wish you all the best, Benny.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for the organization, I wish all the best for all the active members.
Thank you very much.
Michal Rovner, Igal Ozeri, two Israeli visual artists presenting together an exhibit about the war, about the Persian Gulf War, after the war and during the time of the war. The name of the exhibition is Decoy, and it is at S. Peter Larkin Gallery in New York, 597 Broadway. And they are our guests this evening. Shalom Michal and Shalom Igal.
Shalom.
Decoy, why? What is the name?
Decoy is a visual temptation. It's an illusion. It's actually, it's taken from hunting. It comes from the word duck. It's a fake duck, but it also has a military meaning, which means, you know, all these cardboard airplanes, all these tanks made out of other materials that meant to deceive the enemy.
Normally there is a competition between two artists, and mainly if there are two Israeli artists. Why did you decide to cooperate together in this exhibition?
I think it's grow up by myself, you know. Michal working at home when the war is start, and she shoot from the television photo during the war, and I'm come to visit her, and I'm saw what she doing, and my work it start after the war. When I saw the flag in the street, I more deal with the patriotism of the war, and suddenly we see that we have the same idea.
Did you know each other? Did you know each other before from Israel?
Yeah. We was before like competitive. Yeah. She have a school that name is Kamerab School in Tel Aviv.
A very famous school.
Yeah, of photograph and video. And I was School of Visual Art. It's called Meimad.
I see.
And we met before.
So it's the first co-venture or co-production of the two schools in America. So the only way for coexistence can happen.
The echoes of the schools, I would call it.
Okay, let's see on our monitor pictures from the exhibit, and you will tell us the story behind the curtain of the pictures. Okay? So the first picture we'll see it's the flag.
This is the flag. This is more the idea. I take the flag and I make it more. I think it's crazy. It's a building. It's flag building. I cover all the building with the flag. You know, like to take the flag and make it more important. The biggest that the American could.
Okay, let's see the other picture. What's that?
The other picture, it's a chair that it's in my studio, and it's suitcase on the chair and flag on the suitcase. It's a little bit tell about my situation, you know, that I sit all the time with the suitcase here in New York. You know, I'm from Israel, and all the what's happened to me. It's the first time that it's war in another country, and I see it from the television, you know. And all the feeling, it's really bizarre for me.
Yeah, you know that during the time of the war, after every missile attack, there were more than 10,000 telephone calls between America and Israel. So I think that's...
We were two of them.
Ah, okay. So AT&T or New York Telephone Company made a lot of money.
I actually don't find my family. I try a lot and I could find...
Okay, let's go and see the other picture. Another one. This is yours.
This is actually more. This is chair. This is a chair alone. You know, the empty chair. You know, like to invite people to sit and not to sit and to look. Actually, I find this silk screen in the street in New York. This is old silk screen that I come and I find in the street. It was very funny, and I take and I make a flag on it, and I find the chair in my building, and together was.
Okay.
Also, it's the first object that I make. Really.
I see. Okay, let's see another one. This is done by you, right,
yeah.
Michal? So what can you tell us? Can you describe what are we seeing now?
This is in the reality of the television is a group of soldiers. I assume they were Americans. I'm not interested now so much in what it was, what it represented then, but what it can become or what it can stand for. And mainly I was very
involved?
I was very involved, but also when I saw this new imagery on the television, I thought it looked so dehumanized, so cold, so clean, so mechanical in a way, and orderly and unreal. And I took pictures of it, and when I enlarge it, these images, that we look at them, it's as people. We accept them to be people. When you enlarge it, you see how it deteriorates really, and the unreal nature of television.
Okay, let's see the other picture. What's that?
This was a submarine that I later made to become like a mountain that is being cut off the ground.
Also, you did it during time of war?
Yeah, I took it from television during the time of war, but some of the images I took later with a video. I just.
Did you watch television all the time during the war?
Absolutely. I never.
How many hours a day?
I actually, first of all, I never watched television.
All the time. You know, I have it's really I think funny story when I call her and I start to talk with her, and first I think that she listened to me, and after time, you know, I ask her a question, she nobody answer in the other line. I only hear that she shoot with the camera.
So 24 hours a day television?
I watched as much as
CNN,
I could, you know, as much as I could, because I used to get headaches from watching it so long.
I see.
And it was a very intense situation, because an extreme because I never watched television.
It's written in the catalog that you produced, you created your works during the time of war. Does it mean that while you were watching television, you created the work?
Yes.
Yeah?
Some also afterwards with the video, but a lot of it during the war.
I think what is the important in Michal work. I think it's the it's what the bombs is bombing. We have a work that about the bunker that they bombs Americans airplane.
Do we have this picture?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see it. I think it's the next picture. No, what is it? What do we see now?
This is a group of soldiers before and after surrendering, but that I took them out of context and I erased all the background and all the information around it. So it's just this person.
But we see only one person.
Yeah, you see one person because I took it out of the other ones out.
I see. You have decided to isolate one of them?
One was enough for me for this case, and then this one is a figure in a kind of a borderline existence between flying, floating, in the air, on the earth, not so clear. It's a person, but when you see it looks like a person, but when you see it...
no, but you can feel that he is surrounding, that he is giving up, that he is was captured by another army.
Yeah, but you don't know where is the time exactly, where is the place, because you can feel maybe it's in the snow, maybe it's in the desert. You don't know where.
You're right.
This is great what she's doing, because maybe she changed really the images. She don't take it fluently from the television. She changed it. She changed the meaning. She changed the atmosphere.
But it's based on television images.
I think what she bring to us, it's the frighting of this, all the frighting of this person.
Let's see the next picture. This is something based on television, right?
Yes. This is a target before being shot, and
it's a bunker. I see a bunker in the middle of the target.
It's a bunker, and
what is the circle?
The circle around it, which looks three-dimensional, is just a marker on the television, and the structure, which looks so small and two-dimensional, is actually a whole building. So there is this change of scale
here.
here.
In this case, the circle become the most important element in the picture, more than the bunker, which is the target.
And it become to be three-dimension, but it's in the life. It's more it's not three-dimension. It's only market.
Michal, why do you think your works are fitted to the works of Yigal?
I think some of them fit and some of them they contradict each other, which is also good. But I think both our work deal with illusion rather than with reality, and we try to transfer some kind of a feeling, expression, atmosphere rather than information per se. It's very abstract this way, and his work and my work, they both are kind of monochromatic. What else you get?
I think that for me, Michal, it's more, I call her not photographer, I call her like painter. For me, it's painter. The
visual artist.
No, more painter, like paint, how the painter make aquarelle, It's very, very close to paint.
What about your works? Why do you think your works can live together with her works? Because she came with another point of view, and you came after the war.
I think the technique, it seems bizarre a little bit. The technique, it's close. Even this is in photography. It's very shiny and very deep. And same, what I'm doing, I work with the glass color. That it's not a lot of artists work with glass color. Glass color, it's a color that close in the feeling to photography. And I think this is the contact.
A feeling of translusive, it's translusive. And also he has a soft line, it's like the out of focus that I have.
Yeah.
Okay, at least I felt that you have a feeling to each other.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Michal. Thank you, Yigal. And I'll meet you on May 30th. That's it? May 30th, the opening of the exhibition.
Thank you.
Pnina Eldar is the executive director of the Israel Society for the Prevention of Alcoholism. Yes, there are alcoholics in Israel. And Edward Geffen is the chairman of the American Friends of this organization. And both of them are guests in our studio. Shalom. Shalom, Pnina. Shalom, Edward. Pnina, how many alcoholics live in Israel today?
In Israel today, we have 4
of the total population in Israel, 20 years ago, the adult population, they have a heavy problem of alcoholic abuse.
I see.
This problem started to be very serious in the last decade and change the normal of the life on the youth and the population in Israel, and alcohol has to be part of all the events that the people have, like social event, a familiar event, or personal event. We estimate that you have now 20,000 alcoholics that they need the treatment, and we have another 50,000 that they have the social problem of alcohol.
I see. Can you tell me, please, what kind of alcoholics we have in Israel? Jews, non-Jews. What are the people that?
Well, you have both Jews and non-Jews. You have Arab population also suffers from alcoholism, and among Jews you find it particularly severe problem among recent immigrations. Israel is a culture of immigrants and a society of immigrants, and people came from many, many different backgrounds, some of whom drastically different, had to adapt to a modern technological industrial culture, and the stresses and strains of doing that and being uprooted from their homes and adapting to a completely new life with new values. Alcohol is a common escape from those kinds of problems. Drinking blots out reality, and if you continue to drink, you live in your own fantasy world as opposed to reality. And that certainly is one of the factors involved in alcoholism.
But you mentioned Jews and non-Jews, and you mentioned also Arabs. How many Arabs are, or maybe you, Prina, knows, how many Arabs
We have
are
20% of the old population that receive treatment, they are Arabic.
20% of the alcoholics in Israel are Arabs.
Yes, Christian and Muslim.
Although it's not allowed according to the Islam.
Of course not.
The Quran.
This is part of the new culture than the Arabic population. Then they take the same life than the Jewish. They work with them. Part of the life is in the cities, and I take the new normal that's to drink.
What is the best way to recover from alcoholism?
Well, the starting point for recovery is to recognize the fact that you've got a problem, and once you've recognized that, the first step would be to detoxify, withdraw from alcohol. Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant, and you come into one of the programs in Israel, you spend some time in a bed, and your body acclimates to not having alcohol. The second step would be essentially counseling, therapy over a long period of time in a recovery home, where you get to understand the fact that you have an illness, that you have a compulsion towards alcoholism, and you must not drink. When someone internalizes that and recognizes that fact, they can then recover and understand it and stay away from drinking.
What is the background of alcoholism among the Jewish people?
Well, there's a fair amount of mythology. I mean, there are expressions in Yiddish and I suppose other Jewish languages talking about the fact that alcoholism has always been a non-Jewish problem, but it's really not true. Everyone knows that even in the shtetl, if you will, in Europe and in towns in North Africa, there was always the town drunk or the town drunks who were Jewish. We didn't like to recognize it as a cultural phenomenon, but it exists.
Yeah.
And I think now, again, in places like the United States and Israel, in modern societies, perhaps more secular, it's coming to the surface, accepting the fact that it's a problem, it's a phenomenon that exists among Jews.
Mr. Geffner mentioned secular people, but you told me in advance that there are many, many alcoholics among the very Orthodox Jews in Israel. Is it true?
Of course. This is the new phenomenon. This is start to be very serious 5 years ago, when the first person come to receive the treatment. And we have to understand this special population, like we have to understand the special population that they come from Russia now.
I see.
And this is both new groups. Then our organization start to studying about them and to take the new skill and evidence to treat them.
But do they agree to get the treatment from you, although they are connected to the rabbi or to the community or to the yeshiva?
Yes, after they receive the agreement of the rabbi.
I see. So it should be under the acceptance of the rabbi.
For all the well-done.
How many centers do you have in Israel?
We have 3 different networks. One of them, this is 10 ambulatory centers. This is in communities. Second, we have the hospital for the heavy population that can to stop to drink completely. This is in Ramat Gan for 25 beds. And now we open the home for homeless, for alcoholics that not have home, not profession. And we start to develop this new program in Bituach Leumi.
Social Security.
Yes. To give them the opportunity to find the professional work, and after then they leave and come to be in the society like all of people in our society.
Mr. Geffner, I understand that you are the chairman of the organization in America.
Mm-hmm.
Try to persuade me. I'm a viewer now. I'm watching this program, and I'm Jewish, and I want to support this organization. Why?
Well, to support the organization means to support people who are in Israel who are sick and suffering from a disease and help them recover from the disease and become productive citizens, if you will, putting it in business terms, tax-paying citizens. People who are alcoholic often become a charge upon the state and a burden upon the resources of the state. So aside from the human benefit of helping people recover, what you are doing is helping the budget, if you will, and helping the state to be a healthier state.
Okay, so Plina, what should we do? Let's say somebody is watching me and watching you now, and he wants to contribute to your organization. What he should do?
We tried the funding a group for friends of this organization.
American friends.
American friends. We know that this is the problem in all the world, and also now this is problem for among the Jews and among the Israelis. That in the past they not know about this problem. This is the new generation, this is the new problem that we have to take seriously, and I very appreciate all the people that can to be part of this organization and contributed for give the best treatment the people that suffer.
So to whom do they have to call? What telephone number do you have? Because maybe we can show it on our screen, and then people can call your office in New York and contribute the amount of money that they want.
They can contribute to the PEF fund and indicate that the money is to be used for the Israeli Society for the Prevention of Alcoholism, and we have the address.
Donations in the United States should be payable to PEF, Israel Endowment Funds, 41st East 42nd Street, Suite 607, New York, New York 10017. And the telephone number 212-599-1260. Thank you very much, Mina and Mr. Geffner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best, and I hope you will succeed, because it's a very, very important issue in Israel. Our program came to an end. I am Noam Semel, the Israeli Consul for Cultural Affairs in the United States. Wish you all the best, and Shalom.